Strength seems a bit underpowered compared to dexterity at the moment. It's possible that the damage output of strength based on weapons will be higher to compensate. Dexterity based weapons do not have innate poison bleed effect, but if you find such a weapon, dexterity will increase their proficiency. That's insane. If you get a poison weapon or a bleed weapon, dexterity, the higher your dexterity, the more damage it'll do. I want to see something for strength like that. Resistance seems now like a legitimate concern for building up your character. Unlike in the previous game, you didn't really need it. It governs defense, boosts poison and bleed resistance. Pretty interesting stuff. There's a new weapon type which is a glaive, a double-edged sword basically, which is very, very interesting. I'd like to see that in action. There's a picture of an enemy with that. I don't think I've seen any players wielding that yet. Weapons seem heavier generally, but you also have fast, low damage weapons like dirk, daggers, short swords, and then you got your slow, high damage weapons, ultra swords, great swords. And a returning weapon from Demon Souls is the whip, which should be very interesting. It can be Indiana Jones again. I'd like to see that in action. I haven't actually seen that in action. There's some visual changes which are quite notable. As I said, they did change the graphics engine, so you have new effects. You haven't got the same effects as in the previous game. Big enemies explode into red particles when killed, and when you're killed you explode into green particles, which is more reminiscent of Demon Souls. It was more bright neon lights in that game. Items are blue flame indicated instead of white glowing. For example, armor on the ground. Life gems or souls of lost undead and bodies. Also items dropped by enemies killed. Glowing effects have changed and been improved with the new graphics engine. They have more particles in the glow, giving it a more defined and polished look. For example, when you use a life gem, it explodes into particles of light, rising up off the screen, breaking up smaller and smaller into smaller particles. The cloth, as I said before, flows more fluidly and realistically. See the bottom of my armor, the two green parts. And I don't know why some were saying that it was easier, because I saw a lot of bloodstains all over the place, so that means a lot of deaths. Although there were a lot of people playing, so it's to be understood, but basically every meter there are bloodstains all over the place, and bloodstains indicate player deaths. You can activate bloodstains to see player deaths, and you'll see a ghost image of how they died. You won't see the enemy attacking them, you'll just see them fighting what looks like thin air, and then them keeling over or else falling off the edge of the area, as in previous games, in Dark Souls anyway. And enemies, as I said before, they set up traps. They hide behind you and flank you and group up on you. They can hide around corners, across bridges, or fire at you with bow and arrows from across a gorge. It means you have to tread carefully and move slowly so as not to pull many enemies at once, which I did a few times. And they follow you longer. Some followed me from across the bridge to near the boss area, the first boss area, and it's harder to see them as it's darker, but this is a reason for getting a torch. And some play dead behind trees or land in grass where you can't see them. Assassins are camouflaged and blend in with the surroundings, and even zombies are camouflaged. Their colour scheme is the same or very similar to the landscape. Not all enemies, but most of them seem to be this way, at least in the beta. It's generally darker, so you need to keep your eyes peeled for unexpected enemies. But there are messages left by other players, as in previous games, that warn of these dangers. More often than not, you'll find a little message on the floor, so you should actually read these messages as you go along. It'll warn of these things, like lying in ambush, or despair ahead, something like that. There seems to be a lot of dark rays or red enemies. I don't know what exactly are they called. It says on the wiki that it's certain places are guarded by power red phantom enemies. Don't know if that's what they are, or is that something altogether different? But they were red enemies, which were like the dark rays in the previous game. These dark rays were blocking certain pathways, which I've not seen in Dark Souls, even when hollow. In Dark Souls they only appeared in New Game Plus, and I don't know if they appeared if you were hollow, or if you're just human, because you can get invaded when you're human, so it makes sense that they'd appear when you're human form. Even the noises of the interface and retrieval of your soul seems to be a lot more subtle. There's another big guy here. I saw an item over here, that's why I came over here, which I'd missed before. This is back to the forest of Huntsman's Lodge, or whatever it's called. I hear another enemy behind us. Right, now I grab this item, which is actually a couple of items. Black armor, black hood, black boots. Looks like sorcerer armor though. I didn't find any plate armor, apart from the plate armor I already am currently wearing, which was really weird. That was in a chest. You'll see later. That was a close call. Take a couple life gems. What did he drop? 2 life gems. I just used 2 life gems too. Back to equipment. What are we looking for? The black hood. Let's check it out. So it's less armor. It's obviously a sorcerer cloth armor. Black hood. Hood worn by the great sorcerer Strayed. Strayed was a sworn brother-in-arms of the ancient king of old Olafis. Together they slew the ancient dragon and tasted omniscience. However, even the renowned wisdom of Olafis was not enough to control the peculiar magic birthed by his arts. Our armor is the Faram helmet blessed by the war god Faram. This helmet is in the style of the Land Knights, a once mighty order from Ferosa. Although the Land Knights wore heavy armor, they were feared for their nimble two-handed swordplay. Good to know. So I'm supposed to be using two-handed as a warrior. I chose the right class. So got some more souls, let's spend them. Up to 19 vitality. I hope I do get to keep this character, because then I can progress through the bosses when I get to play it on the 10th again. Then I can get some good footage of bosses and actually defeating bosses if multiplayer is available. Now I found this little hole. This is where I was earlier, looking in here and not knowing how to get in here. There's a hole in the roof. So you get a radiant life gem, 3 of them, which are really powerful, and a human effigy and a twilight herb. Twilight herbs restore magic, so you don't actually use mana in this game. Mana was in Demon Souls, wasn't it? I don't know about Dark Souls. I wasn't really a spell user, so can't really tell from that. There we go, bottom, knock him down to his knees and slash. It's a nice back attack from that weapon. Pretty effective. And notice I didn't really sneak up on him either, I just walked towards him. So maybe enemies are a bit hard of hearing in this game, so I missed this tree the first time, and then I realised you can actually knock this down. I tried to knock it down with a weapon, but you just have to kick it. And that'll create a shortcut between this area and the starting area. So up to level 39 already. Good god. Levels come pretty fast actually. But obviously as it gets later in the game you get well, you get more souls from harder bosses, so levels do kind of come easy even at later levels, but it requires more souls to level up. I didn't see there was an area down below here off this ledge, and I never went down there unfortunately. If I had had a torch I could have seen round me. I wouldn't have missed these things, because there's an archer across the way and I was wondering how do I get over there. And there's an item down below and you can see bloodstains down there. At first I thought that was a dead drop. Unfortunately I didn't ever go down there, so I don't know what's that way, but I'll check it out when I return to the game on the 10th, hopefully. I also missed this, as I was saying at the start. There's a ring round this corner, and also him lying in ambush, who takes me out just as he gets knocked off the edge. So that's a lesson, always be at least half health before you go around a corner, or you'll end up like me, just down like a noob. So we come back to this area where I died, get my points back. Now I know this guy's around the corner, I didn't actually realise he was there, so he's lying in ambush. If there'd been a message there, lying in ambush, I would have realised, but there's no message warning me of that. And here's the item, which I missed. And if I'd just gone round the corner, I would have got that ring. but I only had one ring, so now this is 2 rings, and it increases our defense. Let's have a look at it. Ring of War, an iron ring granted to Vanguard soldiers, increases physical defense. Though the ring's properties are a great boon to warriors, few were happy to accept the ring, as it also meant that the wearer would be sent out to die on the front lines. Increases physical defense, which is really nice and would have been very useful. Is nice. I never actually looked at the other ring, did I? Which was a bit silly. The ring I started with. So I'll go back down this ladder now. And you can actually slide down ladders, as you could in the previous games. It's a bit more, the animation's a bit different and more fluid. As I said before, animation is generally more fluid. I'm looking through my inventory again. Oh, this is the merchant. I went back to the merchant here, just to take a look at these items again. I think I wanted to buy a human effigy, but I couldn't afford it. It was 5,000. So I actually had a human effigy, so I didn't need to go back and buy one. So I was wanting to try out invasion here. I wanted to invade and see what PvP was like, but as we saw earlier, multiplayer wasn't available. So up to level 40 already. The initial levels are quite easy to get if you keep your souls and don't die too much. Then it gets slower and slower as you level up. So you use this effigy, and then we use humanity restored, as you see. Then we use a cracked red eye orb to invade, as in the previous game, Dark Souls. You can also leave an invasion sign for others to invade you with a red soapstone. Searching for worlds to invade, but as I said, multiplayer wasn't available, so this pretty much failed, which sucked. So I'll have PvP to show, I'll have summoning to show. It said invasion failed, error code, blah blah blah. And I can summon people, and I can summon others to help out with bosses and stuff as well. See his face, it's so weird. Ginger hair. Yeah, we didn't see character customization, so I'm trying to get across here because there's an item over there to that rocky building, so I'm taking off my clothes so I jump further. When you're lighter, you can jump faster and further usually. So I'm trying to get across here because it makes you lighter, obviously. But I should have switched. I think I did switch my weapon out to the lighter sword, so that should have affected my jump also. It's your total equipment load that's equipped on your character. So I decided just to drop down here, which I saw when I was falling down here. There's a little cave here. This actually leads to a dead end, and I thought, what the hell is this for? But you could hear enemies down below. If you had a torch here, you could actually see what was going on around you. I was like, is this a dead end? There's nothing here. So put my armor on first, just in case there's enemies, because I actually heard enemies there. I don't want to die at this stage, although it wouldn't make much of a difference. I don't have many souls, and it's only dropping back down here. So you'll see this takes us to a dead end, and you're like, what the hell at this point? It looks like a bridge over a death drop to nowhere. But you see those mushrooms on the edge there, an indicator of stuff being down below, and you can also hear enemies, so there has to be enemies around. But I take a look around outside, but there's nothing else around this area. There's nowhere else to go. You can't jump across there either. It's kind of a weird block right there. Nice little cave. So eventually I figure out that you can actually drop down here. I thought you had to have a specific place to drop down, but it doesn't seem that way. You can just drop off anywhere. Then there's enemies down here, little zombies. 1, 2. And I thought this was a illusory wall, but it wasn't. There's another guy. I didn't see any way out of this place, which is kind of weird. There's usually ways out of places like this. So there's a chest here, which is the first chest I've come across, and it's poisoned, so no more mimes, would that suggest? Or would that suggest... I haven't seen trapped chests before, apart from the mimes in the previous game, Dark Souls. I think they're in Demon Souls, these sorts of traps. So I actually died from poison damage. Yeah, you die a lot faster from poison damage, it seems, in this game. The stuff I got from that chest was the stuff I already had on, the Faram armor. So I try to get across here again, take these clothes off. So we found that cave, but we still didn't get across there. I thought that would have been a way across down there. See, his hair's actually fallen out. So there's a visual effect to staying hollow. The longer you stay hollow, the more grizzled and decayed you get. Your hair starts falling out and everything. That is a very nice attention to detail. I don't think they had that in the previous game, so I finally made that jump. See, his hair's all falling out. And he's getting worse looking. The bits, you can see more damage to his skin and everything. More rot has set in. So he's becoming more undead. So the longer you stay undead, the more rotted you become. So I should have actually checked that out when I was at half health. What did it actually look like underneath the armor? This is kind of a troll item because it was up on that pedestal and there's no way to get up there. I don't see any way you could have jumped up there. The only way you can get across is to jump onto that lower platform. There's no way that I could have seen to jump onto that higher platform. So that was a total troll item placed there, just to entice people over here. You can see all the bloodstains over here. Maybe you could have shot it down, but I doubt it. Usually things you can shoot down are on ropes in these games. Could have got back onto that ledge, but either way I would have died, because there's no way out of that. So does that suggest that there'll be items that you can get, but there's no way to get back from getting those items, so you'll have to die to get the items? In Dark Souls there's always a way to get back from these sorts of items, so I'm trying to lay down a summon stone so I can go down these routes with the dark raids, or the red enemies, the groups of red enemies, which are tough, because I need at least another person to deal with them. It's pretty impossible by yourself, those groups of dark raids, because they just overwhelm you. If you have 2 or 3 people, you can split them up and deal with them. That aromatic ooze, which temporarily applies magic to right hand weapons. This is obviously replacing the golden pine resin from Dark Souls. It's nice how they incorporate these items, but they tend to change these items, so it makes the game fresh and interesting again. But obviously Estus Flask remain, and white soapstone and stuff like that, just the mainstays of the series. So you can use that. It says right hand weapon, but you'll see I'm holding the weapon in 2 hands, so this is a 2-handed weapon at the moment. You can use it as a right-handed weapon or a 2-handed weapon, so it's kind of weird. In the previous game you couldn't use it on a 2-handed weapon. It had to be right-handed or one-handed. I never quite figured that out though. And this one just seems to let you do it. You see it being applied, it's a nice blue glow. It's a very weird effect. It's kind of like a lightsaber now. More reminiscent of Demon Souls, a bit more gaudy looking perhaps than the gold pine resin effect, which was like electricity. Kind of like the mongoose enchant from World of Warcraft. This is more like a big blue sword now, it looks. A big blue neon sword, which is kind of weird. Now we're going to get these 2 invaders. Actually, we get pincer attacked first, I remember. We've done this several times now. so I tried to summon people here because I don't want to face these two Dark Wraith type enemies on my own. They're very tough. So I enchant my weapon again with the ooze. And there's the prod attack. Could have used that to greater effect, but I try to get past him here. He misses me. I nearly knock him off, so you can kind of knock enemies off of that. Failed to create summon stein yet. Once again. Summon sign even. I'm getting blocked off by this guy. Oh, just about got through. And then I'm wondering where to go because I still don't know about that pathway, but then I decide to go around here and I find the path finally. That took me a while. Guess my eyes are painted on, but it is kind of hard to see. There's certain paths that are camouflaged, like there's caves that are camouflaged in the previous game, like that dragon cave. Down to the dragon area, you couldn't see the cave at all there. It was like painted on, but once you get close to it, you see that it's an actual cave. But it just looked like a shadow. So you got some replenishment there. Never actually took a look at that. What that item is. I guess it replenishes stuff. So I come around here and I find the gate. Soon enough, once I defeat the skeleton. And this is opening another shortcut, so the theme of shortcuts and opening shortcuts from different areas carries through in this game. So you're always going back and forward between areas. But once you discover a new area, you can open a shortcut to go back to the old area, which is nice. Because there's a lot of back and forth in these games between areas. Like the Pharynx Shrine was the go-between in Dark Souls, basically. And there we go, that's our shortcut open between the previous skeleton cage and this one. That's where I was trying to fire the crossbow through. But I couldn't get to this area because it was behind the waterfall and I didn't see that path before. And I fall to my death reading that. Of course. So we go back now that shortcut's open, we can run through here. We don't even need to bother with these skeletons. I nearly rolled off there to my death. So we can just avoid the skeletons and take this shortcut where the gate was previously. You see it's now open, but the enemy's still guarding it. They're pretty easy to avoid, the enemies, so you can run past quite a lot. They do tend to follow you for a while though, but luckily they don't follow too far. You see there's like 5 of them here, which is not a good thing at all. Especially since I haven't defeated the Necromancer who brings these guys to life again. You'll see them coming back to life here. Which is bad news for me. See them all coming back to life, so you want to get rid of these guys and then kill the Necromancer if you don't want them coming back. Usually you'll have to defeat these guys twice because they'll come back to life. Then you kill the Necromancer and then you kill them for good. So there's one of those braziers where you can light your torch, but I never found a torch. Don't know where the torch was. I saw other people from the beta using the torch, but I never found it.